You've got the sun in your eyes. What are you doing? Oh, I've done it purpose. I can't see you. You're just a flash.
That's all right. Now, Abby was slightly bigging this up a little bit in the briefing about kind of all the good stuff we've been doing. It's to do with like red pen. Okay, now since I've been at the school, I've been doing a study of the colour that children see the best. Okay, green isn't that one, all right? Because that's a lie. Okay, because every time I write in their book, they don't seem to respond to it. Okay, and I was in a meeting with Abby, and she was talking about extinct the pink, wasn't it? Was your way of saying it? Okay, so rummaged in my bag, and I found a fluorescent pink highlighter. So the secret of all my green pen now is just that. Yeah. So I mean, my set of books which is on there, all I do is I give them a what went well, even better if, and I've got a stamp that I've acquired from my old school. Right, but what they were doing is all the even better if that I was writing, they would just say, okay, yeah, I'll do that next time. So if I've said, right, make sure you've labelled your graphs and the axes on it, they say, yeah, I'm going to do that next time. Yes, I will. Yes, I have. Right, so all I do now is look through their books. Any things that they'll actually need to either complete or to work on, I'll just give it a symbol, so a circle or a star or a square, and write it at where I've kind of last marked their book, and then match it to the task they do. So when we then get back into their lesson as a starter activity, or their red pen time, all they've got to do is read what I've written, right, by the fluorescent pink symbol that you can't miss, right, even if you're blind to sort of green ink. Alright, and then just go back in their book and actually match it, alright, for what they've got to do. So it might be answer this question, there it is, or write down the equation you've used to actually calculate that. Alright, so quite a few of them have started without me telling them, have just started, if they've done the task, kind of ticking it off, and I hadn't sort of thought, well, that would be a good idea. So some of the kids have just said, right, as soon as they've done it, they've ticked it off. Okay, ticked it off, so they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Because what I found the red pen time was that the students didn't really know what they were doing. So you said, right, okay, it's red pen time. What I want you to do is go through and respond to the green comments, and the amount of comments that they would miss, and it would be just a waste of my time to actually write them a question that they just wouldn't kind of notice. They as they're flicking through the book. So that's kind of what I'm using, and it just seemed to make a bit of a difference. So I've started doing it in all the classes. I started doing it with one class, then just thought, actually, yeah, I'll just continue this. And they're kind of responding to it reasonably well. I mean, that's my part of the book, so you're more than welcome to have a look through them, for, where they've responded and how I've done it. Some are obviously more successful than others, okay, but that's the students, but they're kind of getting used to that kind of way of doing it.
So you have to kind of flick back through his book to find where the symbol is.
Yeah, so you can see how often I might have. So I mean, this one here was one that quite a few had done. So quite a few had missed out the last column of the table, which is about their own question to ask about what they were learning. Right. So I said think of at least 2 questions to ask, obviously depending on the set. But I found it useful because it's giving them specific things that they are then going to do. Okay, and there's quite a range of students that you've got there. There's some students that are kind of going to produce quite neat and complete work, and other students where it takes a little bit more kind of persuasion to get them to finish stuff. I found it quite successful, and it helps me when I'm marking, because rather than it just being a laborious thing, you say, right, okay, what I'm going to focus on is that bit, and that bit. Okay, rather than just keep going over the same old bit.
Has this child got the wrong date, or do you actually put the learning objective of what's going to happen in your next lesson?
Yeah, no, he probably just, I made him go and write that back if he left a space. I have no idea.
Right, because that's Thursday the 5th of February, which is tomorrow, which is the day after, no, which is tomorrow. No, not even tomorrow, that's Friday the 5th.
Who is it?
Charlie Gibbard.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
That's it. Oh, sorry, you should mention names in the video.
Oh, yeah, he must have been mistaken. I mean, I don't even write that. I just put this, the 2nd of the 2nd. I don't even write the wrong version.
No, we don't have
They're
to
mine.
anymore, do we?
I tend to mark every lesson. Yeah. My marking is quite short, and I do it for that reason, because then it's not as in-depth, and asking them simple questions to extend what they're not telling me they understand. So sometimes I get an okay miss, which obviously we're not allowed to get back. So my task is to try and get them to extend it into longer sentences. But I don't know what do the rest of you do with your marking. How do you find your red pen? Do they respond in full sentences? How do you get it out of them?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. If they're doing peer assessment, for example, they do quite a lot of. So as soon as they've done that, I'm like, right, you've read your comment, you've now got 10-15 minutes to make that improvement. You've got, obviously it's a piece of artwork, so it might need to have more shade and stuff. So obviously, if they've done it, they see it in different ways, but then I just, get them to actually write a sentence or then again, not okay, well, I have, so I need to write this for sheets. And if I just want to do it from my drawings and do it, make them actually physically write exactly what they
No, it's good, isn't it? So it's recorded, which is silly. The whole point of doing this really is for students to go back and revisit that and take notice of what we say, to actually work on their feedback. So they are acting on their feedback. They shouldn't have to write it down for you, but here at least.
Like some of them haven't,
but
some of them don't. Some of them haven't made any improvements whatsoever. But
you've
just
had
get to write something. So if someone looks at it, they go,
I think it's giving a time limit as well is quite important, because actually you could spend an entire 50-minute lesson on the red pen tool. So given that sort of set amount of time, 10 minutes, okay, and then
But then at the end they do like a summary of the project. It's going to be that in red as well.
Good, because it's reflecting on the learning. Yeah, really good.
I quite like that.
That's what we do.
Doing right at the end. Thanks for doing that, John.
Yeah, that is good.
I don't need an extra.
I suppose I tend to spend a little bit longer than 10 minutes doing it. It probably ends up being about half a lesson in the end, about 25. But one thing I thought, sorry, examples, but what I'm trying to do is minimise the amount of green I'm having to write. So I'll give them a 1 or 2 maximum sort of things that went well, but very often what went well, and then you see how I've got like Q2 question mark there. What I'll do, because various kids have different things that they ought to be doing to improve their work, so I'll probably have questions 1 to 5 on the screen, and they are directed to the question that they need to answer to improve their work. So all I need to do is put Q1, Q2,
Yeah, we do that in maths.
and then they just get on with it. What I really want them to do, and these kids haven't done it, is I always say on my slide, before you answer that question, write the question out in red, so that whoever's looking at the books knows what it is they've had to answer.
Because this shouldn't be about who's looking to it, it's about the children improving their work.
Well, it is.
Yeah,
really.
but no,
But I
because it's
suppose
when
even
it
for
comes to
them, they could look back,
revising,
couldn't they?
because that's what I get really wound up in maths, that they'll just write down a number. Well, that's a waste of time as far as I'm concerned, because they don't know what that is the answer to. It could be an infinite number of answers. So please, write down the question, show the method, and then the answer.
But that's, I mean, as I say, that takes a bit longer. But I'm always sort of looking for ways of it taking me less time. But one thing I'm doing with a lot of kids. Yeah, well, I suppose that's it. It's like, I suppose they probably about 25 minutes.
Yeah, we wouldn't spend anywhere near that in maths. On
Well, what's nice when you look through it is a lot of your marking's more positive than now do this, now do this. The negative aspect of it that you need to improve doesn't take up so much in their book. Therefore, mentally mustn't take up so much negativity inside them.
Yeah, and I think for kids whose literacy is really weak, I'm trying to move more down the road of their red pen being spelling corrections. And I've got yellow spelling sheets in the back of these books where it's where they write the spelling and then it's look, cover, write, check, so they practice the spellings. So for some of the weaker literacy kids, that's their follow-up activity in the main. And then they have a simple history-focused one, but for the more able ones who are writing well, I'll expect them to do more history-focused follow-up.
So each set of questions is specific to a particular assessment?
Yeah, that's right. So I'll sit down and mark them, and usually as I'm marking them I'm thinking, right, well that's not as good as it could be, so I'll think of the question that I could ask them and inevitably you've got, well, I don't know, 5 or 6 kids who all need to do the same thing, but there is another raft of kids that could do something else. And so, as I say, you end up with, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 follow-up questions differentiated to whichever.
So I'm listening to that and just thinking I could be so much more efficient because I write an individual task for every child, and there's a lot of repetition.
Yeah.
It would speed things up if I just summarised it that way. If I only bought one example, and I didn't pick a good one, I just picked a book. So, sorry, but so I'm trying to speed things up. I always annotate as I go. So I've written the what went well, even better if down the side. So I save you time at the end. And then I always give them a red pen task, and it's always do this one particular thing. And for this student, it was bearing in mind that even though comments I've given you, please continue writing. And I give them 10 minutes. It's always 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, they're not allowed to speak to each other, they're not allowed to look at me, they're not allowed to communicate with the world, they've just got to improve their work. Because what they all want to do is go, how do I know? And I don't exist for that 10 minutes, that is their own independent work. No, it is hard, I have to be horrible, so they're all just like, she's horrible, worst teacher in the world, you don't even help me. So they do all that emotional blackmail, while I'm just walking around looking like a queen, horrible. But by this time of year, they just now got it. But for that 10 minutes, because it's them improving their work, to mark each one, I know it doesn't look like it takes very long, but I've spent at least 10 minutes marking each kid's work. Yeah. So I think 10 minutes, them giving me 10 minutes where they're improving it for themselves independently, is fair enough. Nobody else has got this target. They might all end up having the same one, but it's really rare. Normally it's you correct your spellings, you redo that paragraph, you add something else at the end, could you do this? So it's quite often an awful lot of them. So if I've taken the time to read your work and give you something just for you, I think you can do it. So do it, shut up. But yeah, 10 minutes max. I don't ever spend a very long time on it.
What do you do for spelling?
So if this particular student was spelling issues, I would put at the end there, your task, correct your spellings, but then I'd go back and underline the spellings that was correct in pink.
Oh, would they not have to correct the others?
No, I do it if it's a specific thing I want them to do, if it's an issue. But I also do, so make the pink extinct, I really like that. I've got stickers made, I have little galloping pink dinosaurs going across the screen. Yeah, because it's extinct pink. But the trouble is you have to start it again afresh every year, because you get the kids knowing they've got to do the pink thing, and then by this time of the year you can just go make the pink extinct, they all know what it means, and then they get new classes in September, you've got to start it all again. But then it's just your task, make the pink extinct, you don't have to even write anything, just put a dinosaur sticker on it, they know they've got to correct their work.
So one piece of work that I've just, sorry I haven't brought it with me, dealing with silly things. But I realised I was writing the same thing for the what went well. I was saying, really good, commenting on the content and saying you've used connectives, you've used 2 tenses, blah, blah, blah. And so what I did was I spent some time really being very clear about the criteria and then agreeing with them what language we could use. And the criteria then was all on a sort of a tick sheet, and when I marked, I just put number 1 and then ticked and put a 1 beside it so they could see where I'd seen evidence of the different elements that I was expecting to see, and the gaps then formed their red pen work. So if they hadn't used enough connectives, I'd just written more beside that, or a question mark where they hadn't used 2 tenses, or referenced more connectives that they could include, and then everybody did have a personalised thing to do, but it gave them some responsibility. Your point, Abby, it gave them a bit of responsibility. I knew that they understood how they were being assessed, and I knew that they all understood what they needed to do to improve, and it wasn't masses of repetitive what went wells.
Yeah.
So that worked really well for me. I tend to do SP in the margin and G and underline like Abby does, and then, like Abby, I refuse to help them at all. There are dictionaries, there are other people in the room, there are posters, but I've done my bit.
But linked to what you're saying there, Pat, and I don't do it quite so much with Key Stage 3, I do it more with Key Stage 4, is we have these marking shorthand sheets.
Right.
Where these all mean something. Now, I tend to use some an awful lot more than others. So So in a GCSE, for example, if they are showing knowledge, then I'll just put a K in the margin.
Yeah.
If they've commented on the origin of a source, they'll get O. Some of them think they've got 0. I get a bit worried about that, but it's O for origin. P for purpose, E for evaluation, things like that.
Yeah.
And that means that when I'm marking GCSE, all I ever do, I don't do any what went well, is because they know that each of those letters means that they've done something well. Now, if there isn't any knowledge there, or not enough knowledge, it would be K question mark, or E question mark for not enough evaluation. So that has massively speeded up GCSE marking.
Yes.
Just because I never have to write a word. It's just a series of letters and question marks.
Yeah, I just think at A level, I just put AO1, AO2, AO3 in the margin. I don't have to write anything else. That just, you know, and then at the end you kind of go, there's no AO4, you idiot. Sort it out. So, but that is kind of what, it's a similar, it's really subject specific, isn't it? But when you get, I like that, and I think that works really well. What worries me sometimes is when you have a pre-printed list of, here's 3 things you might have done well, here's 3, you know, not criteria based, negotiated with the students, 3 things you might have to improve. And I just think, there needs to be an element of personalisation about marking, because it's personal work. And I think there needs to be a little bit, even if it's just a sticker or a little well done, some personal, rather than if it ends up all being codes and pre-printed stuff.
What I did was the codes, and then my comment at the bottom, and we always have stickers.
Yeah.
Spanish stickers.
I just wish they wouldn't put stickers on merit pages, because it means that we haven't got room to then put merits on, because the stickers overlap.
Yeah, but I think we've got a job to do to continue to train them how to do red pen, and actually take time to teach them how to do that well, because the benefits are then enormous, aren't they? And the more we all do it, the better they will get at doing it across all their curriculum subjects.
Yeah, we use it for corrections as well in maths.
Yeah. They are getting better at it, but what's interesting is you're sitting with so many departments here, and it's done differently in every department. Which is, it has to be kids, because they have to think. But to be a kid and then go from one subject to the other and go, okay, I'm a red pen, but that's a different expectation from that teacher.
I think it kind of has to be, doesn't it? Because if when we talked the other day, we were kind of just don't get started. No, because, you know, like if I've got year 8 and I've got them 8 times in a fortnight, whereas you might have every year 8 class, you know, once a fortnight, whereas, you know, and so it has to be different necessarily, isn't it? Emma just asked me, why do I always stick to 10 minutes? It's because whatever they're doing red pen work on is old work, isn't it, by definition? It's something that was done previously.
Don't you ever make an exception if it's something important like a tracking group?
No, because it comes generally that, well, if they were midway through a piece of work, so this was preparation for something, then, and I'd marked a draft
As a way forward.
as a way forward, and then I'd get them ready for it. But then everything they then did subsequently would be red pen work. But if it's based on a track and point task that's finished, so there's a summative mark on it, then the red pen work I would want to be brief, because it's very bad. So it depends when you do it, if it's at the end of a stage or whether it's midway. So, because then if it's midway, everything they then do is red pen, isn't it? Because it's all improving.
Yes.
So yeah, so then I wouldn't, you say 10 minutes. Feel like you've got the rest of the term. Only red pen from now on.
I don't think there's anything wrong with spending a bit longer, is it?
No.
It's what works in your class.
Yeah.
Because I'm being evil, I just think 10 minutes is as long as I can hold that for.
Yeah.
You've got to be quiet for
I'm joking, I'm
But I think we're all coming up with ideas of streamlining marking whilst keeping it personalised, and that's really, really important, because we are marking more, and we have to get better at doing it as efficiently as possible.
The thing I talked about with the guy with Ross there, we were talking about practical subject like that, you're just constantly going around all the time, and there's verbal feedback, saying, oh, okay, I'll do this. And so sometimes that's hard to show everything, so you have to get it out, and either you have to write it in for them or write down what I've been doing. They've got these things they've been trying, it's like a dictaphone, and with a label printer attached to it. So you
Wow.
just speak into it,
Wow.
and then it prints out what you said, and you can just stick it straight on the work.
Oh, we need to get some of those. That's
Wow.
nice.
Oh, could be terrible.
How easy would that make practical lessons?
Mm.
That would be instant.
It was the tall guy, I can't remember.
He's an assistant head.
So that'd be quite. Oh, I just you'd have to really think about what you said, wouldn't you?
You would.
So, but also so grammatically correct as well. Normally we don't speak in a grammatically correct way.
Tried using Siri, it just messes it up.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was great.
But even, I know it sounds as if you're doing it just for the sake of it, but it's quite interesting that sometimes, or in languages, we've got the verbal feedback stamps. And so as we go round, if we've spent some time with someone and they then improved the work as a result of that verbal input, we just stick a little stamp in the margin.
So you have to show evidence of actually what the comment was.
No, because that will show in the writing. So quite often, you know, I'll go around and just say, and I'll underline with my green pen as I'm going, I'll just underline a couple of mistakes and then say, there's 2 mistakes there, that sentence can also be improved, you know, if you add an opinion, and just put a verbal stamp and then come back and they'll have done that.
So
they're
if they were questioned about it, they should know what they.
Yeah, no, what they're doing in English, I haven't been given one because I've been here long enough. I think you have to have several years of service. But the verbal, no, it's just, you know, but the child is supposed to write down what the teacher said.
Yeah.
That's how it works in English.
Yeah.
So that you put the stamp and they have to write down, she said I need to
Yeah,
underline it.
we
or
have
whatever.
done that
Yeah.
in some
It's
cases
got to
as
do, isn't
well.
it? Like some people you'll have to stand there for 10 minutes.
Yeah, which is completely not the point, is it?
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
then trained to use their red pen, are they?
Yes,
Do
they
it.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the sort of thing that when you don't do it, you think, blimey, that would take a bit of getting used to. But once you've done it a few
Yeah.
times, it's
Yeah,
probably,
they do adapt
Yeah.
really quickly. I
Yeah.
quite like it.
yeah.
But I think that live marking and being able to do that and coming back to them is the most powerful. But not all the work you do lends itself to that. But just that, I'll just underline that and I'll go leave you to think about that for 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll be back, and just to come back and see if they've got it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, really, isn't it? It's that independent thinking again. So it's not you correcting it for them, but I want you to think about that. I'll be back. They may choose to use a partner to pick their brains, but it's not all depending on me.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. That's great.
Very good.
Thank you.